Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and this is my firing line for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. This is the online firearms show that is completely driven by you, your questions, and your comments. Otherwise, I would be out of my kitchen right now trying to figure out why all of a sudden my coffee maker started to leak water all over my countertop. So that was something that developed last night and is continuing this morning, and it's got me flummoxed. I have a feeling my coffee maker is on its last legs. And good Lord knows that I'm going to have another one soon because I've got to have my morning coffee. I hope everyone had a great and safe holiday weekend. Mine was tremendous. We've started something of a tradition over the last several years. Some of you might remember that my birthday was last Friday, and there was some other significance to that day, too, that escapes me at the moment. It'll come to me sooner or later. But in any regard, what we've been doing on my birthday for the last several years is going up to the city of Akron. And Akron has a minor league baseball team called the Akron Rubber Ducks. And they have a beautiful park in downtown Akron. And we'll go up there. It's very reasonable to get in. And I am not the world's biggest baseball fan. This is what's funny, but I really love going to that baseball game every year on my birthday. And just being able to sit in the park and enjoy the game and eat a hot dog and drink some beer. And it's just really, really enjoyable. There are a couple of hotels in downtown Akron very close to where the ballpark is located. So we're able to park at the hotel, leave all of our stuff there, walk to the baseball park, watch the game, and then walk back. And it's just a great, great experience. The following day on Saturday, we went back to downtown. Well, we were still in downtown Akron. We stayed overnight at the hotel up there. And they had something called Sample the City with all of these different, mostly ethnic sort of restaurants from around the city of Akron that came in. And there was Asian food, and there was Nigerian food, and there was a lot of different barbecue and different things that you could sample, and we were able to go around table to table to table. I ate way too much in the form of samples that day. So I'm still trying to recover from that, and I'm got to work to try to keep my girlish figure because I probably did some damage to it that day. But I have been rambling on here for a little while and have not acknowledged everyone who's here. It says we've got 17 in so far. I know some of you were here early. Roy Kiefer, I think, was the first one in the room. Good morning, Roy. We've got Bill 1717. Marv Turner is here. Matt Lowry, how you doing, Matt? Julie Etheridge. Guile Jackson, Wyoming Gun Project. And I think I'm going to make a quick change here. All right. And by the way, if anyone wants to join the show as a guest today, you can send me an email at hrfunksmail@gmail.com, and I will send you a link to the show. You can join as a guest. If you join with your camera activated, there'll be a split screen, and we'll be able to talk to each other on either side of the screen, or actually face to face. If you join with voice only with your camera turned off, you can do that as well. If you decide to join with your camera on, I always remind everyone that literally everyone in the world will be able to see you if they choose to tune into this or watch it later on YouTube. So just keep that in mind with how you might be attired and how you might be presenting yourself if you activate your camera. I've got some great news and already some responses coming in from GunCon. I've got at least one firearm on the way for review, so that's fantastic. I believe I've got another one that's going to be coming very soon. Both of these are, I'm going to say a little off the beaten path, but I think they're going to be fun. I think they're going to be things that you guys are going to enjoy seeing. I'm going to have fun working with them and presenting the videos. By the way, the reason I am having the firing line this morning instead of my usual Wednesday premiere video is because I just flat out did not have time to get the Wednesday video done. I've got one that is about halfway done, and hopefully I'll be able to complete that later today. I'm thinking about premiering that one tomorrow, and let me know what you think of that idea, if you think that's a good idea, or if you think I should just wait and maybe use it for next Wednesday's video or whatever. If you haven't watched last Saturday's video, which actually has not had a lot of views, it's down around 1,400 views or something like that. I debated whether or not to release that on Saturday of the holiday weekend. And I thought, well, maybe people wake up on Saturday after staying up late and watching fireworks or whatever and feel like drinking coffee and watching a video. Well, no, that plan did not work out the way I had hoped it did. The video has been gaining views very, very slowly. If you're interested in that, it's it's the part 2 on my review and evaluation of the Bergara B14R rifle, which is a wonderful little 22 rifle. I really like working with that thing. And I'm evaluating it from the perspective of a professional shooter or essentially a law enforcement or military sniper who's using the B22R as a subcaliber training rifle. And that's kind of the perspective that I'm taking throughout the course of the video review. There are a lot of reviews that I've seen up on the B14R, but I have not seen any of them reviewing it from that perspective. So I thought this would be a little bit of a fresh take with that particular rifle and a little different way to go about looking at it. So in any regard, if you did not see last Saturday's video and you have an interest in that rifle, by all means, go back and take a look. And I saw we were just joined by Rabbi. Good morning, Rabbi. And I also just got a text message from Loves Dogs 1954. He's apparently not aware that the live stream is going on. Let me shoot him a quick text message and see if he wants to stop in here and join us. It's amazing what all I can do while I'm sitting here at the computer and talking on the microphone. All right, so we'll see if he appears. A lot of you are familiar with him from the Saturday morning premieres and Wednesday morning premieres, and usually he jumps in on the live streams too. All right, got that taken care of. Looking over here, I know I had a question from Roy. Yeah, right up here at the beginning regarding the Sig P320 and the FBI. There was some sort of an announcement or rumor or something that apparently broke over the weekend, which is kind of curious that anything would come out of a federal agency over a long holiday weekend. But in any regard, something has come about regarding the FBI dumping, refusing to allow, not wanting to use whatever, the Sig P320 pistols. And presumably this is all somehow or other interrelated to the idea that the 320 is firing itself while it's being carried in holsters and one thing and another. This is one of these stories that I think it's really hard to get factual, true factual information, because it seems like the people that are interested in this topic are so polarized. They are either absolutely in Sig's corner and everything that's out there that is reporting these discharges is being somehow inflated or made up or is just erroneous in one way or another. Or you've got the other side of the equation where, you know, every time somebody looks at one of these things wrong, it's firing itself and what have you. A lot of you know I have a M18, which, as far as I know, is still the service pistol of the United States Marine Corps as of this moment. And it's been a great pistol. It's never fired itself. I shoot it periodically. I do not shoot it a lot, only because I'm shooting a lot of other handguns. I've always found it to be a good, reliable, good shooting handgun, but I certainly can't speak for every single variant of the 320 that's out there, and I know there are a lot of them. It's configured in a lot of different ways, big versions, small versions, all kinds of different versions. So I certainly cannot speak with any sort of authority with regard to whether it absolutely is or absolutely is not. I tend to think, as with many topics of this nature, that the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, and I don't know how this is all going to shake out, but we will see. Chris 1911 is here. Thanks for joining. And I saw another question on here someplace. Rabbi is driving and listening. Marv Turner went with the CZ 457 instead of the Bergara. I used to have, and I mentioned this, I don't think I mentioned it by model number or make, but I had a CZ 452 years ago that was a fantastic little rifle. And at the time, the CZ 22 rifles were really reasonably priced. They've gone up considerably since then. And mine was a 452 Varmint, and that thing would stack wolf match target almost on top of each other at 50 yards. It was a great rifle. The only thing about it was I bought it and tried to put it together to do the same thing that the B14R was meant to do, which was to use it as a training rifle. And it was just so different from my Remington Model 700 that the feel was always so different, and everything from, and it didn't help matters that I had a different rifle scope on there than I had on the Model 700. So I had a different scope picture and everything when I would be shooting with it. But everything from the bolt stroke to the trigger to everything else was just so different that I never felt that I got the training benefit out of it that I had hoped to. That said, I really liked that rifle in its own right. And I got to the point where I was not shooting it a lot. And there was something else that I wanted, and I ended up trading that. And part of the reason that I wanted to get the B14R in to use was because I really missed having that very highly accurate 22 rifle, bolt action rifle, in my safe. And you might be able to see the B14R back behind me there, sitting beside my safe, because I have not finished cleaning it yet. By the way, I'm going to have a video coming up on that again soon. I had it out on the range the other day doing some accuracy testing with different types of ammunition, and the results were pretty interesting. And I think I've come up with something that it likes really well. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to do a long form video, which actually is probably not going to be too long, showing the accuracy results with that, or if I want to do a short. The only thing I don't like about using the short to put out information is it has to be recorded in portrait mode, which is the very narrow aspect ratio when you're seeing whatever's being put up. And I don't like that. I like the landscape mode like I have right now, because it seems like to me I can convey more information when people can see more of what's going on. And when I try to do it in the short, in that portrait mode, I have to try to squeeze everything into this narrow little window to get out everything for people to be able to see that I'm trying to present. So I don't know. I'll figure out sooner or later how I want to do that. That might be one of the in-between videos that shows up on a Friday morning or a Tuesday afternoon or something like that, just to get some accuracy information out. And there's going to be more content with the B14R coming, because part of the reason is just I really like shooting it. So keep an eye out for that. Chris 1911, did you see the video on the TZOS burnout test? Yeah, I did. In fact, I actually put a comment on there. I don't do that too often on other people's videos, but the gentleman who produced that has put 2,000 rounds now through a TZOS U.S. Army pistol, one of the government models. And for the first 1,000 rounds, it ran perfectly. And then apparently during the second 1,000 rounds, he started having intermittent instances where the slide stop would engage while there's still ammunition in the magazine. And also he started having failures to go completely into battery when the pistol would cycle. And when I saw that, and this is one of the things, as an armorer, I know that if a firearm is running perfectly and then all of a sudden it stops running perfectly, something has changed in the conditions of that firearm. Now, it's possible something could have broken depending upon the firearm and exactly what type of malfunction it's experiencing. But in this case, it really seemed obvious to me that the springs in that pistol, specifically the plunger tube spring that powers the slide stop and keeps it from engaging early, and also the recoil spring, which has to provide the energy to take the cartridge back into complete battery and lock the pistol back up so it's ready to fire the next shot. Both got tired during that initial 1,000 round test, and during the second 1,000 rounds started to the pistol started to experience those malfunctions. And I also know from my experience with TZOS pistols that they are wonderfully built handguns. I think in terms of material that's used in the steel, the all forged slides and frames, and the machining of those handguns is very, very good. But the springs, particularly that plunger tube spring, is a little weak. And I've noticed that in some of mine, and I've mentioned it in some of my past videos that I've changed that. I usually like to swap it out with the Wilson Combat spring, which I found to be very, very good. And also the fringe benefit of that is it improves the safety function. It really makes that a lot more positive when you engage and disengage the thumb safety on the 1911. So I put a comment on the video and suggested that he change those two springs. And I think the previous reliability that he was experiencing with that pistol will be restored. Now, whether or not he does that, I don't have any idea. But I did put that comment on there, and hopefully it'll help him out as he moves forward with that handgun. And I thought I saw another question on here. Oh, I thought I saw a question. Maybe I imagined it. JHC, liked your Bergara short. Are you shooting precision rifle for yourself or competition? No, if a competition comes along and I feel like entering with that, I will. But right now, I'm just shooting it for my own purposes. TZOS was made in Turkey. Why give your money to people? You know, if you don't buy anything imported from countries that may or may not have a government or citizens or whatever who dislike the United States, then you're probably not going to be buying a whole lot. From what I understand of that company and talking to the folks at SDS Imports, which is a U.S.-based entity, that company, at least as a company, doesn't have any problems with the U.S. So I like their firearms. You know, a lot of people own firearms from various countries that are not friendly to the U.S., but that doesn't make the firearms themselves bad. So I guess everyone will have their own take on that. I've seen that comment before. I've gotten it in the videos. I like the people from SDS. I like the quality of those handguns that I'm getting. And I think, by the way, I'm going to be getting another firearm from them in the near future that I'm really looking forward to. So keep an eye out for that one when it comes around. Nicholas Roberts, you're going to let the cat out of the bag on the one that I was just referring to. TZOS sounds like Texas, especially if you use the Spanish pronunciation. Derek P72, good morning to you. I'm glad you're able to catch us today. Had a hard time saying that for some reason. So thanks for joining. Rabbi, I hate truck guns. Let's discuss this. Wait a second. Let's discuss how that's probably the number one way guns get in the hands of bad people. I know what you're saying, Rabbi. And I think the thing with any firearms that are kept in vehicles is when you are out of your vehicle, that firearm should probably come out with you and should only be in there when you're actually in, or at least very near to your vehicle, for the absolute safest way to have a firearm in your vehicle, or truck gun, car gun, whatever it might be. Wyoming Gun Project, you might have more of them than I do. I've got a fair number, but I don't think I have 10. And I am caught up with the comments, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. We've got 28 folks in here now, so if you have not said hi, be sure to chime in. If you have a question or a comment for the good of the order, by all means, throw it out there. Oh, and again, I'll remind everyone, and I should probably check this, make sure I didn't get an email that I didn't hear. My email used to make a sound whenever somebody would send an email and it would arrive, and make a ding sound. And for some reason, as operating systems have progressed on the Mac computers, that alert tone has gone away. So now I have to check periodically when I'm conducting the live stream and just make sure that I didn't get an email that I didn't see. Just Fly Low, hello from Minnesota. Hello to you. And Nick Roberts, good morning from Texas. By the way, I meant to say this earlier and it slipped my mind. The footage that we've seen coming out of Texas down around the Guadalupe River is just horrible. And thoughts and prayers to everyone in that region of the country. I don't know what else to say about that. I actually had to turn the news off yesterday because I don't know. It really bothered me, particularly seeing the tragedies with the children involved down there and everything. That is just awful. And again, there's not much more that I can say other than thoughts and prayers. And apparently there's been a similar situation in another part of the Southwest that I just saw something briefly where I can't remember if it's New Mexico or Arizona. But again, it's just a tragedy. And I don't know. I don't have words to try to help, so I guess I should just stop rambling. Marv Turner just mounted an O-Sight S on my Canic Rival SFX. It's really sensitive on the shake awake. Yeah, I really like the O-Sights. I got the very first one a year ago this past May, or it might have come in April. I don't remember now because I know I got it pre-release. And it seems like everyone that I work with is just fantastic. Some people reported issues with the very first one. I never had any. I'm still using that. The one that I beat up and sprayed with water and did all those crazy things to, dropped it on the concrete. I've got it on one of my shotguns and it works fine. I don't have any problems with it. So, and again, all the ones that I've gotten since then, the S, the X, the SE, the S, they just work fantastic. The thing I keep waiting for is for O-Sight to come out with a circle dot reticle that has the green illumination. And I know the green illumination emitters have a different power requirement. So not just O-Sight, but the different manufacturers a lot of times take more time to release the green versions because they've got to get the batteries situated correctly and the all of the electronic components developed to the point that they can work with that green illumination and not drain the batteries extremely quickly. So hopefully we'll see a green illuminated O-Sight. They've got the green single dots. Those are already out. In fact, I've got at least one of those, if not two. But I am hoping they come out with that green circle dot in the very near future. And I'm hoping I get one to review so I can get the information out to all of you. Good morning, Thomas Campbell. Thanks for joining from Cincinnati. Roy Kiefer, just to initiate further discussion, my H&K USP 45 Tactical remains my top shelf SHTF sidearm. Outstanding. And I got to tell you, when I shot the HK CC9 I shot it at the Gathering several months ago. And then I shot it again at the GunCon media day out at the range. And that little thing is pretty impressive. That's probably the first thing since my Masada Slim that's really caught my attention for a compact handgun. Now, they are not cheap, and I would have to look up to see what the MSRP looks like. But I was zapping a steel target with that thing at 100 yards. And I think I did it. I know they had the target at an extended range when I was at the Gathering down in South Carolina. And I told the story in the last live stream. They had the HK booth, table, tent, whatever you want to call it, set up in between a bunch of rifle manufacturers. So the targets were all way down range. They were 100 yards or more. And it was a full-size silhouette, but still, I took the CCP, and the very first time that I've shot the thing, or I guess second, truthfully, now they had an optic mounted to it, and the optic was certainly properly zeroed. And I think I hit that thing 4 out of 5 times at 100 yards with that little compact pistol. And anything that demonstrates that kind of accuracy really catches my attention. So I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to get one of those in for review and do some more shooting with it, and see if the other attributes of that pistol are as impressive as its accuracy. Terry Barnes has an O sight on the Taurus G3. That's cool. No Shield Gun Reviews. Thanks for joining. JC, do you have any Remingtons? I was overseas during most of the trigger fiasco, so I didn't get to do the recall. So literally ordered a Timney last night for replacement. I have got 2 Remington 700s. Yes, I've currently got 2. Used to have 2 others, but I've traded those off in recent years. One of them is, well, I guess actually I got to stop and think. One of them is my old work rifle, which is a early 90s vintage Remington Model 700P. It still has the Walker trigger, and I have no plans of ever replacing that trigger. That's the one that there was all the controversy on back in the, I guess, 1990s, 2000 time frame. The Walker trigger, if you keep it clean, and this is another one of those things as an armorer, I can say with some confidence, if you keep it clean and you don't screw with it, don't go in there and start spinning little screws and trying to lighten the trigger pull and reduce the sear engagement and all that, is a very, very good trigger. That early 700P has a tremendous trigger break, and I've used that thing for so many years that my trigger finger just sort of like naturally forms to the trigger bow, and I'm never going to change that rifle. That's all there is to it. I've thought about rebarreling it before. It's got 3,000-ish. I'd have to look at my rifle data book. 3,000, 3,500 rounds, something like that through it. And it still maintains decent accuracy. Over the years, the average has been now this is obviously shooting rested at 100 yards. This is not standing, running, shooting prone or anything like that, but it averages about 0.65 MOA with 168 grade federal gold medal match. With me shooting, a better shooter might be able to get better accuracy out of it. But I don't think I'm ever going to change that. It's kind of semi-retired right now. I break it out periodically for use in a video, but I now have my Remington Model 700 varmint model that I got just a couple of years ago, and I've sort of revamped that thing, repurposed it. I put it into the Magpul Hunter stock. I replaced the trigger on that one. That one came with a factory trigger, whatever Remington was using, up to the point that they started to use the Timneys. And it was not too impressive. I replaced it with a trigger tech that I really, really like. What else did I do to that thing? Obviously, I added an optic, but it seems like there was something else I did to it. Anyway, that has become my rifle scope test bed. So that's why you see it all the time. And in fact, you're going to see that very, very soon coming up in another rifle review, which I think is going to come out this Saturday, rifle scope review. And this is one that I was really looking forward to. It's taken me forever to get this done. With anything where I'm working with a rifle and I'm working at extended distances, they take much more time to produce than when I'm working with handguns, because handguns are very close. I put a target, I back up usually not more than 25 yards, and I'm working most of the time in between those distances. So it's very quick to get cameras set up. A lot of times I don't have to move cameras very much as I shoot my way through the different segments. So it's relatively quick to get my videos produced when I'm working with the handguns. With rifles, it's much, much greater time that's required to get all of my footage, if for no other reason than going back and forth up and down range and setting up the cameras and resetting, and everything just takes much, much longer. And because of a lot of the things that I have had going on lately, my time has been at an absolute premium, but I finally got this one done. This is a brand new rifle scope that was just released this earlier this year, as part of a brand new line of rifle scopes from this particular manufacturer. And this video is going to be coming out on Saturday. If you have any interest at all in precision optics, be sure to tune into this one. Anyway, in all that rambling, I hope I answered your question about Remington Model 700 rifles. Oh, just ordered a Timney. So yeah, and I hope that Timney trigger works out well for you. I very much like the trigger tech that I put in. It's my first trigger tech that I've ever used, and it's been a great trigger. I'm spinning those screws. You ain't the boss. You do you, Rabbi. Oh, glad you made it, Jeff. When I first saw your post, I thought it said house warships just arrived. I thought, what? And then I realized that house washers just arrived. Well, I hope your house ends up being nice and clean. And I'm looking quick to see if I missed any comments in all of that. And I don't think I did. I'll check real quick again to make sure that nobody has gotten a hold of me to join as a guest. And no one has. If you're interested, once again, shoot me an email to hrfunksmail@gmail.com, and I will get you on as a guest. You can join, as I said a while ago, with your camera activated, and we can do a split screen, or join audio only, and it'll just be your voice and not your actual image that comes across the video. Trying to think if I have any other news or updates to get out for everyone. And it seems to me that I am forgetting something. If you missed the beginning of the show, I mentioned that the reason I'm having the live stream today is because I did not have time to get the Wednesday premiere video done. I've got it about half done, and hopefully I'll get the other half done today. Has anybody mentioned, what do you guys think of the idea of doing a premiere video tomorrow for that one? Thumbs up, thumbs down, wait till next week. What do you think? Bill 1717, you have a great day. Thanks for joining us this morning. JHC, what scopes do you like on your Precision 22s? I'm getting to the point where I really like using the same rifle scopes that I use on my centerfire rifles. Um, I used to think maybe you could go a little lower price range and a little bit lower quality wise. But what happens is you get behind the scope with your 22, and all of a sudden you're not getting that nice, clear scope image that you're used to with your centerfire rifles. And at least for me, I don't enjoy the experience as much. The other thing that's extremely critical on rimfires, especially if you're working at 50 yards or 25 yards, is having something that you can dial the parallax focus down to that distance. A lot of the center or rifle scopes that are intended for centerfire rifles have parallax that comes down to 100 yards or maybe just a little bit closer. And when you're shooting at 50 yards, everything is out of focus. That really drives me crazy. And if you're using a scope that's intended for a centerfire rifle that doesn't have a parallax adjustments, most of the time, the parallax for centerfire rifle scopes is set at the factory if they don't have an adjustment. Set at the factory for 100 or 150 yards. Once in a while, you'll find one set at 175. But again, if you're using them at that closer distance that you typically do with rimfires, all of a sudden everything's out of focus, and that it affects my accuracy. It affects the ability to place a precise shot, and I really don't care for that at all. So I've gotten to the point, and you might have noticed in my rifle scope reviews over the last year or so, when I'm working with something that has a parallax focus adjustment, I tend to look at how close it will focus. The other part of the reason for that is, as a tactical team sniper, there were times I was set up relatively close to a potential threat. And when you're at 25 yards or 35 yards or 50 yards, even with a centerfire rifle, particularly in that situation where you might have to place a very, very precise shot, not being able to focus at that distance can be extremely detrimental. It can be terrible in terms of the outcome that could result if someone has to take a shot in that situation. So having a scope that dials down the focus to a very, very close distance can be extremely important. Jeff Tim thinks I should wait till next week. If you post it, we will come. JFM49, really enjoyed your recent Ultimate Carry 32 and 32 ammo reviews. High Desert Ammo carries some 32 loads for short barrel Ultimate Carries, including 100 grain, expanding hollow point. Thoughts? I've got a couple of thoughts on that. First off, my 32 Ultimate Carry, and I did purchase that revolver. I carry that thing almost every day. It literally is the one that I just grab and drop in my pocket and go. It really lives up to its name as far as being Ultimate Carry. By the way, Rabbi, thanks for joining. Have a great day. You take care and spin all the screws you want to. You're not going to offend me. But I really, really like that little wheel gun. It shoots well. It is easy to carry. It gives me that extra shot that makes me feel good, or extra round of ammunition. I like it with a lot of those loads that I have tested to this point. I know Federal has supposedly come out or is coming out with a new 32 H&R Magnum load. Hopefully I can get some of that to try it out very soon with that little revolver. And the ammunition that I have tested to this point has been very good. If somebody is putting out a 100 grain expanding hollow point, I think that's going to be great. I don't really feel underprotected with the 32 H&R Magnum. It's certainly got more oomph than something like a 22 or really even a 22 Magnum. It's not quite a 38 special, but it also doesn't have the recoil of a 38 special in those little light revolvers. So I I really like it. And I think if you find ammunition that you like, that you feel is going to be effective in your circumstances, then by all means, it's a very good option. Jeff Tim, didn't Loophole have a set of scopes with the parallax set for short range for 22? I know they're 2 to 7. What was that? It was a 2 to 7 variable that was set up as a 22 scope, and it seems to me that they had the parallax set at a fairly close distance for those. They might have had some other 22 scopes, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I know in the Loophole custom shop for a long time you could send your scopes back and have the parallax reset. And in fact, I did that with the scope that is on my service rifle. In fact, if you saw the video that I posted a couple of weeks ago where I was testing the House of Pain munitions ammunition that they put out for the national matches, I had that rifle scope on my service rifle, and it is not parallax adjustable. So when I got it, the parallax was set at 100 yards, I think. And I sent it back and I had it reset for, I think, 300 yards. Because what was happening with that one is when I was shooting at the closer distances in the national match course at 200 yards, I had a pretty decent sight picture. But when I was all the way out at 600 yards, then I was having a little bit of a parallax issue. So I had it reset to a mid distance of 300 yards. That way it still works well at 200 yards, obviously works well at 300 yards, and works better at 600 yards. I'm not sure Loophole is still doing that. The last time I looked at their website, it indicated that their custom shop is not either doesn't exist or at least is not doing custom shop work currently. And I don't know if that's going to be reestablished in the future or what's going on. In fact, if I get a chance to talk to the folks from Loophole at one of the trade shows coming up, then that might be a great question for them if they're ever going to reestablish their custom shop or if it's basically done. JAC 60 yards, 2 to 7 Loophole. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that information. I was not sure. I thought that was the case, but I couldn't remember for certain. I always wanted to get one of those little 2 to 7 scopes, and I never did. That just seemed like they were great. They were sort of an LPVO before the days of LPVOs, except they didn't go all the way down to 1 power. And I've really, over the course of the last, I don't know, year or so, it seems like I've been doing even more optics reviews, which I enjoy. The optics, depending on what I'm testing them on, are fun. It's a little easier to get optics for review than it is to get firearms for review, so that plays into it as well. And I hope that information that's coming out to all of you is beneficial and it's something that's helpful. I produced that series earlier this year that I called Rifle Scopes 101. And that one, I had high hopes for that at the beginning, but it seems like, I don't know, it seems like it just never really caught on. And maybe the information was either too basic or maybe it was too advanced. I don't know, but it just never seemed to draw the attention, I guess, that I was hoping for. But which is not to discount any of you that did watch or comment on that series. I really appreciate it. So I'm not being critical of any of you. I guess I had higher expectations for that series than it ended up producing. And it almost looks like the chat feed over here has frozen. So if anyone could just put a comment in there or something to let me know that it's still going, I would appreciate that. I never know what kind of tricks YouTube might be playing out there, which I don't know if it's just this time of year or if it's a YouTube thing or what, but in general, there has been a noticeable downturn in numbers of views to the videos and comments and one thing and another. JHC put a comment on there, so good. This is still going, but I don't know. It just seems like there has been something going on. Thank you, Buffalo Bill. And I've heard a couple of other content creators mention this recently too. So I tend to think it's not a coincidence, and I also tend to think it's a YouTube algorithm thing. Maybe they're more interested this time of year in trying to push content on, I don't know, beach volleyball or backyard barbecues or something like that. Something that, in their estimation, is going to make them more money than firearms content. But I have definitely noticed that. Thank you, Rich. Yes, and if anyone wants to give a thumbs up to the video, I would appreciate that. And this video is going to stay up on YouTube for a while. And I always get these comments, and I feel bad. When I start the live stream, I usually set everything up a half an hour before the show actually starts. And the reason I do that is because I'm hoping YouTube gets the notifications out to anybody who might be interested in joining. And a lot of times I'll try to do my own promotion. I'll do a short several hours before. I did not do that today because that would have literally put it out in the middle of the night. But if I do a live stream later on in the day, I'll try to put a short out a couple of hours early, making the announcement that I'm going to have it. And sometimes I'll put a post up on my community post section or whatever. And it never fails. I will always get a comment very shortly after the live stream ends from somebody saying, I never got a notice. I really wanted to be there. And I always feel bad because I have no way to try to push that out there to everyone who might want to join, either to just watch the show or to participate and have comments and whatever. So if you don't make it to the show and you're seeing this later on and you have a question or you have a comment or anything like that, please post it to the comment section of the live stream and I will get that and I will try to answer your question for you or respond to the comment. Jeff Tim, kids out of school overloading the feeds. Yeah, I know that probably plays into it, but I also notice with my own feed on YouTube, this is weird. I am getting inundated with all kinds of stuff. Yeah, stuff about movies and news clips and whatever. And the firearms content that comes up in the suggested videos is kind of weird. It's not, I don't know. There's a lot of, firearms legal stuff out there. There's a lot of, for some reason, I keep getting this stuff on T-Rex arms. And I've never even watched anything on T-Rex. I have no idea what, apparently somebody that used to run it no longer is running it and his brothers have it or something. And there's all this chatter that I'm thinking, why am I getting this? I don't know. And there's other things like that too, that just, I don't know. It keeps coming up on my feed and it seems odd to me. And I tend to think it's not an accident. Jeff Tim about lever guns, 30-30, 44-40, 44 mag, or 357 Magnum. A lot of that, as is so often the case with firearms, it depends on what you're going to be doing. For relatively close range deer hunting in states that will allow it, and I don't live in one, the 30-30 is still a great option, and for game up to the size of deer. For defensive use or just plain historical fun, 44-40 would be a great cartridge. 44 Magnum, I like the 44 Magnum for deer hunting here in Ohio because we can't use bottleneck cartridges, which drives me up the wall. But I've got my Marlin SS lever gun, 1894, in .44 Magnum. That makes a great deer hunting cartridge. 357 Magnum in a lever gun is that great all-around whatever you want to do with it. Anything from varmint hunting, close range with 38 special ammo, to defensive use, to certainly would work on deer size game. That really, I am such a huge fan of the 357 Magnum cartridge, which this year turns 90 years old. We're 10 years away from the 100th anniversary of the, or 100th birthday, maybe I should say, of the 357 Magnum. And what a great cartridge that they developed all those years ago. And in no small fact, because is due to the ability to use 38 special ammunition in that same chamber that we're using the full power 357 Magnum ammo in. JHC, you got to leave. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here. JHC, no problem. I appreciate you participating. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the questions. You have a great day. Seems YouTube really increased the number of ads in the last few. Yeah, they are constantly pushing ads. They're doing this thing now where you can't go past the ad at the very beginning of the video. You've got to sit there and watch the whole, whatever it is, minute-long ad or whatever. And then usually it's followed by one that you can skip past. But yeah, they are definitely pushing their advertising. And this is probably going to get even worse, because as we move toward the holiday season, which really starts to ramp up probably in late August or early September, and all of a sudden you start seeing all of the ads for whatever, Christmas gifts and one thing and another, I'm sure that ad content is just going to continue to grow. I guess the way around that, if you really don't like the ads, is to do a YouTube subscription. I have no idea how much it costs to subscribe, not subscription, like you subscribe to a channel, but where you actually pay YouTube a monthly service fee. Again, I don't know how much it is. I know there are some folks that do it. Then you don't see any ads. And the interesting thing about when people do that, and I don't know if I ever mentioned this before, if I have a video that is demonetized, but people who pay that monthly subscription fee to YouTube watch the video, I get a little teeny tiny bit of that subscription amount that they pay. Now it's pennies, literally. It's whatever. I don't even know if it amounts to an entire cent for one view, but I get a little teeny tiny bit of revenue that comes from that, even when they demonetize it for the ads. So there is that, I guess. JFM 49, my whole feed is T-Rex and Sig. Yeah, that's what I keep saying. I'm like, why am I getting this? It's the weirdest thing. Nicholas Roberts, I've been using I think you've been saying I've been unsubscribed from some channels and subscribed to channels that I never watched before. Am I the only person using my account? Weird. Yeah. And that always drives me crazy too. And I look at my subscriber numbers. And a few months ago, back around the, I'm going to say February, March timeframe, I was averaging about 1,000 new subscribers per month. Now I'm down somewhere in the 600 subscribers per month. And I have a strong suspicion that's what's happening is I'm still having the same number of people subscribe every month. About, give or take. But I have a feeling YouTube is unsubscribing people at a rate that makes my monthly subscription figures look like I'm losing ground with my subscribers, but it has more to do with them unsubscribing people. I can't prove that, but I have that idea that that's what's going on. Roy Kiefer, also seeing a lot of T-Rex, never looked at anything. Yeah, Why is that such a thing? I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know, Jeff. You could be right about that as far as the ads not being as profitable as they were. I don't have any idea. And I think part of this too is when they're trying to push certain content. Now, maybe there's a segment of the firearms community that's really, really watching that stuff. So YouTube's algorithm tries to push it out to the greater firearms community with the idea that more people are going to watch it. When they start trying to force feed things like that to me, it makes me not want to watch it more, because it's like, no, you're not going to make me watch what you want me to watch. I'm going to watch what I want to watch. JFM 49, do you upload videos to other platforms? No. For a couple of years, I was trying to upload things on Rumble. Not trying to, but I was uploading things on Rumble. And that venture was just not successful. I've talked about this before, and no offense, I really, really don't want to offend anybody who watched any of my content on Rumble. I appreciate views that I get anywhere, but the audience on YouTube is so much larger, or maybe I should say the potential audience. If I upload a video on YouTube, let's say it gets 2,000 views, whatever, 5,000 views. If I get 5% of that, of those views on Rumble, that's probably pretty close. If I get 2,000 views on YouTube and I get, I don't know, probably less than 100 views on Rumble, depending on the video. And it, to the point that as far as ad revenue is concerned, my Rumble channel is still up. It's been up, I don't know how many years. But I have never, ever received any revenue from Rumble, because collectively, and I have probably a couple hundred or better videos over there, but all those together have never gotten to the threshold of $50. $50, I think that's where they send a check, in order for them to send me any revenue. So the number of views, it just, you know, most of the people I think who were watching on Rumble also watch on YouTube, and it's just less time, less aggravation, less everything if I just have things on one platform. So I've kind of gotten out of the habit of posting things over on Rumble, and I don't know of any of the other video services that come anywhere close to YouTube when it comes to the potential for viewers that the videos can reach. Corpus Biker, hello to you. Skip, thanks for that information. I mean, I kind of gathered that just for the titles to the videos and stuff like that, but I just don't care. Jeff Tim Smith & Wesson is not listing any 32 caliber revolvers. You have to go to Lipsy's. The Ultimate Carry and the Ultimate Carry titanium revolvers are exclusive. Lipsy's is the exclusive distributor for them. So Smith & Wesson not listing them on the website doesn't surprise me, but if you go to Lipsy's, you'll find them listed there. Marv Turner videos on Rumble, feed is so poor he can't take it. Yeah, and you should see what the upload is like. Now it did get better over time, but when I upload a video to YouTube, depending on the length of the video, that will have some bearing on it, and also the time of day will have some bearing on it. When there's just tons and tons of people on the internet, it will take longer to upload a video than it will at other times. But when I upload a video to YouTube and then go to Rumble to upload that same video, it probably takes 3 times as long. as however long it took to upload it to YouTube, to upload it to Rumble. So my computer is tied up all that time, churning and churning and churning as it's trying to complete that upload. All right, wow. Been at this for almost an hour now, and that hour went by fast. Jose Pena, on a revolver, will the gap between the forcing cone and the cylinder, I think that's supposed to say increase. Over time, depending upon the revolver and what it's chambered for and what have you, that can increase. Usually that has more to do with some end shake developing on the cylinder, allowing it to move farther away from the cylinder, or the forcing cone rather, than actual erosion to the face of the cylinder or the forcing cone. But yes, that can open up over time. JFM, I'm assuming you mean they're on the Smith & Wesson site. So that's good. I'm glad they're up there. All right, gang. I think I am going to start looking at wrapping things up here. Maybe I'll keep it going for another few minutes because it seems like the questions and comments have been coming in pretty fast and furious here. So if you got any last minute things that you want to throw out there, questions, comments, anything at all, by all means do so. I'll try to address those quick before we go. And if not, then I'll start looking at wrapping things up. I'll give a minute or two just in case anybody's got anything they want to throw in. By the way, I'm also out of coffee. Not quite. I got a little bit left, which has gotten to room temperature. Nope. It's looking like things are pretty much wrapping themselves up. So, all right, gang. Thanks to everyone who joined for the live stream. As I mentioned, this live stream came about pretty rapidly today just because I did not have time to get a Wednesday morning premiere video completed. I am going to probably start working on that video as soon as I wrap this up. That's what I do these days. I basically spend my entire days working on either recording videos, editing videos, working back and forth with people in the firearms industries, contacting people, responding to comments, all that kind of thing, responding to emails. This has more or less become my full-time, part-time job. But it's a labor of love. And as I've said before, it all comes back to all of you. The reason I do this, the reason I'm still here going on 13 years now, is because of the interaction that I have with all of you. I have the greatest viewers on the internet, and that includes each and every one of you who joins in for the live stream, for the premiere videos, the chats that we have, who comments on the videos, who contacts me through my website, sends messages, all that kind of thing. Thank you, thank you, thank you all for being here and being part of this community that we've put together. To my channel members who make that monthly contribution to the channel, a special thank you to all of you. When we get into these periods just like this, where views are down and ad revenue is down, that contribution you make every month is just absolutely invaluable. And I am so grateful to have you all out there. Everyone, have a great day. Have a wonderful rest of the week. There may be an out of schedule premiere video tomorrow. We'll see what happens. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye for now. Have a great week and good shooting.